Okay, hello guys. This is actually one of the only recordings where I've had to wait before I recorded. Just because I was too excited, like unprofessionally excited. Like my channel's very professional, right, guys? Maybe I don't need confirmation with that, but I'm gonna preface this with saying this is my favorite episode of the series. Season 1 is amazing. Season 2, not quite there in my opinion. Not I love season 2 as well. Just the feeling I got when I learned about what Silo was for the first time. Anyways, I'm getting off track, but it's my favorite episode, and you'll learn why. There's so many hidden details, stuff, contemplations, backstory, questions answered, and let's just get into it. Okay, we start with some sort of drinking water system. They don't tell us, but you can see visually that somehow they're recycling and making water. These people that we don't know much about at this point, but we do get the names of everyone by the end, except the baby. We don't get the baby's name. I don't think. I don't remember. I didn't write it down. But they have the drinking water system. They've got plants, and we obviously start with these people. There's a baby and a kid, plus the 3 people we know of, basically. And they're practicing with the bow and arrow, and they hear a loud noise, and they say it's Eater. It must be Eater. At the time, we don't know who Eater is, but we do know it is one of the people in their group, the one that Juliet did end up tackling. But they go out, they hide behind the railing and go to see who it is. At first, you kind of think Eater might be Solo, but we go and they say, "Is it the killer? Is it the killer?" And we're like, "Oh, they're talking about Solo." And we see them watch through the railing as Juliet first arrives at the silo, takes off her suit and kind of detoxes herself, I guess. And I just want to say, I called it last episode. If you saw my video, there was a loud noise, and at the moment the loud noise hit, like something triggered in my brain. I'm like, they're gonna do something this episode where they try and go to the other point of view of events we've already seen, and that's what they do a few times in the beginning. But they said they need to get weapons. We get the hatchet shown right in view, the hatchet that we've seen before. We see her name is Audrey. We don't know at the time, but Audrey cuts the rope, and we see her fall into the water. But we see that the other boy, wait, they called him Chase and Rick. I think it was Chase the father's name. I think his name was Chase. You can correct me. It's Chase or Rick. Rick might be the father, or Chase might be him. It's one of the two, but we're gonna call him Chase for the sake of the video. But he saves Juliet by throwing something into the water that actually ended up saving Juliet. But I think it's funny, if you saw that video, me and my sister were wondering if it was a suitcase that saved him or saved her. It was not a suitcase. But then they hear music when they come back, and it's the same music that played in the end of episode 1 that Solo played to get Juliet's attention. And also we see that there's a man and a woman sleeping together, and here for some reason I figured like maybe they didn't know each other that well, maybe they're family, but here it's kind of the first indication that they are a romantic pair. But then they see Solo leave the vault for the first time when he sees Juliet, and they say to each other, "We have to kill the killer," and they don't know his name. And then we go back to Solo's point of view, his end of the water pump situation. And they're sneaking up on him with the axe, and I was like, no, don't do it. I just feel so bad. Solo's just trying to help Juliet out here. And Chase swings on him with the hatchet, but misses, cuts the rope on accident, and then misses again and cuts the breathing tube on accident. And here I was like, okay, that's a little silly, right? That's a little silly. He happens to cut both things that Juliet needs. It's a little silly, but I'll suspend disbelief and just move on with the show, which I did. And poor Solo gets shot in the back. I mean, I hate when I've seen some characters get hurt or whatnot. Like Juliet, when she gets hurt, I'm like, it sucks, but I don't hate it. But just seeing Solo get shot really just pisses me off. Just because I don't know, I'm more protective over him, I guess. But I just feel like he doesn't deserve it. Juliet doesn't deserve it either. But let's just I digress. Let's move on. They want food, and they want into the vault, is what they tell Juliet once we get caught up to current time. And or wait, no, this isn't current time yet. No, not yet. This is what they want, and they tell the younger girl named Eater to get the axe. But Eater explains how she couldn't, that Juliet came up too fast, and that to distract her, she made her own blood to lead her away. And I think this is kind of good foreshadowing here. This scene right here, she so casually cut herself and gave a blood trail to lead her away, which we now know was to lead her away, which is great. But the fact that she did that on a whim is kind of like, okay. And the more we learn about this Eater character, it seems more in character for her, and we'll talk about it. We get the first confirmation that the older girl's name is Audrey. Younger girl made the plan to hide under the sheet to jump Juliet, and basically that we see the other point of view. They jump Juliet, we get caught up to current now, and they say that they want, or Juliet says, I want to talk to him, and they say you can talk to him if you get food from the vault for us. You need to get the code. And they also say, Juliet tries to make a deal, like, you give me Solo, I'll give you your girl back, and they're like, we don't give a crap about her, you can keep her, which is good to know. Then Audrey says that if you don't get into the vault, the next time my baby cries, we're gonna kill you. And that could be so soon. Babies cry all the time. But we do know the family members are the baby, unnamed, younger child named Benny, it's maybe 8. I don't know if it was a boy or a girl, I don't remember. Then there's the younger girl named Eater, Audrey, the older girl with a older man, or older boy. They're both adults, right? That are Audrey and Chase. Chase, for the sake of this video, I think it's Chase. Okay, that's a lot just in the intro. But after the intro, during the intro, actually, I saw Amber, Templar, something like that, directed again, and I love her. I love whenever she directs an episode. The directing's great. But we go straight into it. Lucas comes into Bernard saying that they built 50 silos. Lucas says there were 50 silos built. Then Bernard makes an interesting comment saying technically 51, which, well, what the hell are you talking about? Technically 51. I love that they pose these questions, but I hate that there's more of them. I want to just like smash them out like a bug. But if there's technically 51, that means there's room for one like that unique silo that must be different than the other 50. Like maybe a silo only for the high level people that escaped, or a more secretive silo. I don't know why he would say technically 51, but this last silo we must know something about at some point. Like why? But Lucas gets the information from Bernard that Juliet went to another silo, that she is still alive. And he's like, Quinn would have put something more important in the code. You need to keep working on that. And we go to Kathleen, who's wondering, why can't we learn where we came from? You know, making that contemplation with Paul, kind of convincing Paul towards the rebellious side. And then we move on to the next thing with Lucas, and I was like, this is feeling like a freaking penultimate. This is a penultimate episode. I was already in. I was in it. And the code, what we have seen decoded so far is, if you've gotten this far, you already know the game is rigged. We already saw that line last episode, but then it goes into, we think we're the chosen ones, but we're just one of many. The founders didn't build a single silo. They built 50. And they created the safeguard. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? The safeguard. This is the title of the episode. What does this mean? Of course, another question. And then here I thought, the safeguard. The previously on showed the bottom door that hasn't been mentioned all season, that didn't get mentioned at the end of last season even. The door at the bottom of the silo that we do see more of here, this episode. That was in the previously on, as well as the tunnel that Lucas found on the hard drive, and I wanted that to be the safeguard, like some sort of secret exit out of the silo or something like that. I was thinking, But we, I guess, don't know what it is. What if it is a secret exit out? We can talk about that more later. But we go back to Juliet Silo 17 with the younger woman known as Eater saying she wants to go outside. She asks Juliet before like anything. She says, "Can I go outside with you?" And Juliet says, "I've only got one suit." And she's like, "I'll still help you." Juliet's like, "Are you sure? You heard me say one suit." And she's like, "Yeah." And I got a weird vibe here. Like, Eater doesn't care that Juliet's planning on leaving, that she's going to take it from her. And so I'm worried about next episode. Then we go to Paul realizing that the mayor, whoever appointed him, saw someone who could fall in line. That's why he was chosen. He realizes this himself, which was pretty cool. And then I made an interesting note here is that once the secret has gotten out to his wife, that he knows about this other world that Earth used to be. He knows about the page. He has the page. Once this secret is out and he has someone to contemplate it with, someone he trusts input, he's no longer, I guess, Paul, or he's becoming less strict with staying to the pact once he feels like he's not alone, which is great. And he mentions Juliet's influence on him, which is also great. And I love to see how many people say Juliet still meant something for them, even if she died, that Juliet, the survival of her and what she did for these people continues. I think she'd like to know that. But Paul is going to help the rebellion and wants Camille Sims his help. Then we go to Eater, who is looking at these bodies outside of the vault, which we don't know of until this episode. And actually right now she comes in and says Tess was Rick's mom. Oh wait, it is Rick's mom. And Chase was Audrey's dad. All right, I'm sorry guys, I called him Chase. Damn. Okay. I even had it written down. Tess is Rick's mom and Chase was Audrey's dad. Okay, wait, so that would have been really weird if Audrey and Chase were together, huh? Okay. I'm sorry to everyone who remembered. It's Rick and Audrey together. Okay. And I even wrote down here is Chase the other boy. I did not understand this. I'm sorry. Okay. But Eater explains how her mom got sick. And before she died, she asked Chase and Tess, the parents, to take Eater in. And they took her in, but when they took her in, okay, I was just thinking about it. I was thinking like they took her in and then the rebellion happened, but we know that Eater's mom was barely a baby when the actual rebellion happened. So they must have just been very few people living in this silo, and they just asked the parents to take Eater in. Okay, I was just thinking as I'm going here, but she explains how when her mom died, when she was with the other family that we know, that they began to resent her because the parents tried to get into the vault looking for food, and they resent her because they call her another mouth to feed, that she's not part of the family, and that's why they call her Eater. It's a sad backstory. But Juliet says, I understand. She understands. And they find out where Russell's apartment is, the head of IT, and go there. Then we go to Patrick Kennedy being vague with the screen of the outside being beautiful to Kathleen. Then he tells her that maybe outside is the way things are in that page. And he's being vague again. I don't know why he's gonna just say stuff. He has info. He should just say stuff. And he shouldn't say that, though, because that's not true. It's still bad outside. But he doesn't think so. I don't know if he knows for sure, but he saw what Juliet saw and what made her want to go out. But there's some part of the code. When we go back to Lucas, there's some part of the code on this book that we don't freaking see. We don't see like one line or something, which is kind of upsetting, but we can see the end of the line, which says, "Reason be damned." That's the end of the line. I don't know. I guess I don't got nothing. I want to get through more of this video. I got a lot more to say. Y'all can come up with stuff if you want. Then we do see the line, "If you don't believe me, go to the very bottom of the silo, find the tunnel, you will get confirmation there." And Luke is like, damn, okay. And then he goes to Amundsen and asks him, hey, like, where's Bernard? And like kind of grabs him and is like, I need this. The silo needs to know what's going on. And Amundsen's like, if you touch me, you won't know what's going on, or something like that. You'll be dead. And then he starts to walk away and turns around and says, I have orders not to disturb him till the evening. And like you couldn't have just said that, man, before you like acted all tough guy. You couldn't have just said that you can't. And then here I was like wondering, why can't Bernard meet with his shadow? What is he doing? Is he coming up with something secretive? Is he ahead of Lucas? Is he using Lucas to like get to the bottom of the cell right now? I don't know, but we'll see, as I say. So we got a Walker who tells Knox, hey, I can't leave the shop again, I'm sorry, even though like I've been out and about, I can't leave. And Knox tells her, hey, I want eye contact, I want you to look at me, and hey, we're gonna get her back, trust me. And I don't know if anyone else noticed it this episode, but Knox's voice was different. You can notice on a rewatch if you want. His voice is different. I don't know if he was sick or if he got a new face and it's just a different guy. I don't know what that means either. But Knox tells her we have the sheriff on our side now while Bernard's watching, so that's not great. But here I was like, okay, that's what he's doing. That he's watching the cams. And Locke knows that she was just exposed. He gets a computer message from Bernard saying it's time to talk. And while he's typing, I thought it was kind of funny. He had to look at his keyboard a few times while he was typing. And I was like, bro, you've worked in IT for like 30 years. You're this tech guy. You're this head of IT, you know. And you still have to look at your keys to type. Like, I haven't even lived as long as he's worked that job, and I don't even have to do that anymore. But he tells her he wants to know the full plan. She's like, how am I supposed to find that out when you keep me in here? And then we go to Lucas, who finds his mom, and Lucas says he wants to give her the book for safe keeping. And then she goes mama mode, like, you were always like this as a boy, and what. And then he gets deep and he says, what led me here was being a coward. Juliet came to him for help. He didn't help her. He didn't turn her in. He made an excuse that he was the only one taking care of his mother, and he says he was being a coward. And this is just a big moment for his development, his character development here. Just him realizing he's a coward, realizing Bernard isn't the good guy, realizing what Juliet was trying to help him with, realizing just a lot of realizing, but he finds it the courage in himself to pursue this new information that he's found. But here I was also wondering, why not just burn the dang book? Why not just burn it? You already told Bernard how to figure it out, just burn it. And you know, he's gonna leave his mom with it. That's bad. But we go back to the other silo where they're looking for codes, and here I was like, Juliet, what are we doing? We're just flipping over books on their side. Like, if we're looking for a code, we should look through the pages or something. I guess we've been following Lucas too long. But here we get a subtle line that I knew was too subtle to be unimportant. And that was from Eater, who said, this Russell guy had a kid. And they don't say anything about it. I was like, okay, that's coming into play. And I was like, Solo? Question mark? The real Solo? Our Solo? And it turns out, we'll get into it more deeply, but Solo is actually Russell's kid. We can talk about it. It's a pretty big revelation. But Eater has a random line here as well. She said, so you've never had to eat a rat? And Juliet's looks amazing here. She's like, huh? What? We're trying to find the code. What are you saying to me? But Juliet finds something in a bag and closes it, and doesn't show her, kind of like glazes over. It's like, and then starts a conversation. After she hasn't started a single conversation, now she wants to. It's suspicious. I'd be suspicious if I was in that room with Juliet. But here I was like, maybe it's a suit. But here we have Eater mention that the parents, Chase and Tess, were keeping track of the combinations that they had tried, and we're narrowing it down on a chalkboard or whatever that we saw in a previous episode. And they find this room. Juliet's like, gosh dang it, I realized I erased the part of the code that's like the most necessary to make my drawing for the water pump or whatever. It wasn't useless. Then Juliet kind of makes a revelation here that they must have got into the vault, otherwise Solo wouldn't have killed them. Another line they kind of glaze over, but we delve into more. But Eater keeps like this art thing and flicks this stuff in the sky and asks about people that have two names, which is first and last name. And she has this confused look and goes, my mom only gave me one. And we glaze over this as well. Like, there's some interesting stuff with her, and like, who was her mom, and what do you mean one? But we might get that next season if she survives it this season. But then we go to Lucas again, trying to get through the barricades. But as he was last episode, he's flexing that badge again to get down into the down deep. But the mechanical kind of kidnaps him and takes his badge. Did they give it back to him? Yeah, I think they give it back to him. But they take it for a little bit. And they kind of kidnap him. But he explains, hey, wait, stop. I knew Juliet Nichols. And I know her boyfriend's name, if you need like more proof. But then we go to Bernard, who says that the intention of the supply break was to get more gunpowder to blast open the silo door. He tells the sheriff department, and they're like, oh, mechanical would do that. And he's like, this was put into motion by Paul Billings, guys. Paul Billings has turned to the dark side now. I was like, Bernard, you MF, bro. And then he says, also, I want a jail built. Yeah, in the cafeteria, I want a jail built. So there's that too. But we go to Juliet, reliving her great memories with Solo, as Solo's yelling at her. But she says to herself, he's not who he says he is. And then we got a flashback to Solo mentioning the girl that used to sit next to him. And in that flashback, she's like, that girl would have been 11 or 12 when Rebellion started. And he's like, huh. And then I love that in these scenes, it was a POV camera from Juliet's POV. These were obviously reshot. These weren't from the actual scenes. They were reshot, but yeah. And this is where Juliet makes the revelation that Solo was just a kid. It has been like 30 years plus, maybe. I don't know how old Steve Zahn. I think Steve Zahn's 47, so that's like 35 years. Since the rebellion, since he's been there. And we learn that his name is Jimmy Conroy. This is insane. Jimmy Conroy is his name, that he's related to Russell, that he is Russell's son. Like, damn, Russell's one of the biggest names we've heard. Russell, head of IT, and he's Russell's son. Then we go to Shirley, who meets Lucas. Lucas says that Juliet could still be alive. And if Shirley takes him where he needs to go, he'll tell her how he knows this. And then we go to Knox, who's identifying how a message could have gotten through to the up top, and then says he knows who betrayed them. Then we go back to Silo 17, where we get a lot, I guess. But basically, the parents knew the code, and Juliet says she narrowed it down to 6 combinations and wants to talk to Solo. She wants to talk. Oh, and then Juliet says, I don't need to open the vault. I don't need it. I could just leave right now, but I'm doing this and for you guys, basically. But she's actually doing it for Solo. But here I was like, wait, what do you mean you could just leave? Did you find the suit in that closet? Yes, she did. But she stays for Solo because she cares about him. And it's just... it warms my heart. I'll talk about it more. But I was wondering to hear if she was playing tricky. I don't know if she was tricking him, but maybe not. And we also see that Eater found the bracelet on the dead body. I was wondering what it was, but it was Rick's mother, Tess's bracelet, and he agrees to let her talk. He's in the cell, but it's not really like a cell. It looks like a room they lived in that they're using as a cell. And poor Solo, bloody, says he failed. He says he was told not to let anyone in. And Juliet says, was that your dad that said it? He's like, what? No, what are you talking about? And then Solo says he swore an oath and was IT's shadow, that he was Russell's shadow. And Juliet says, no, you were his son. you were his son. And then Juliet starts to get through to him, but the freaking Audrey comes in with a bow. But then they continue. They actually don't get derailed, which is good. And he tells his story of the bodies. He says that they did get the right code. They got into the vault. He says he didn't wake up. He was asleep until, and then he starts like crying, and he says, I shouldn't have left the gun next to the door. He says he was shot in his sleep, and somehow while they were raiding the food, he managed to lock them in and deplete them from air, and that's how they died. And Audrey continues to ask for the code. She says, where's the code? Where's the code? What's the code? What's the code? Like, Audrey, can you chill? We're having a moment here. Then Solo himself says Jimmy was a coward. He says Jimmy was a coward. He's referring to himself in the third person. And we get a flashback, kind of. Solo, it'll be weird calling him Jimmy. Jimmy's trauma of where the sheriff held a gun to his father's head, Russell, up to the vault. And we know the sheriff in this silo ended up going to the rebellion. But he held a gun to the father's head and said, hey, Solo, if you don't open the vault, I will shoot your father. And Solo listens to his father. His father says, don't open it. Solo listens. He watches as the sheriff shoots his father dead and drags his body out. But this is a big moment. I don't want to like glance over this for Solo's dealing with this trauma, that he feels regret for not opening the door, but he also like is in a state where he feels like that's the last thing his father told him, so he needs to live by that. And Juliet makes him realize, hey, he wanted you to live. He wouldn't be ashamed of you, he'd be proud of you for doing what he said. He would rather you live than him. And then Solo learns that they have a baby, and he smiles, and he has hope. He has hope in his eyes. And man, I don't think I've cried. I don't think I've cried in either season of Silo. Until now, that scene got me, bro. Just Solo learning about his trauma, him dealing with it with Juliet, seeing how much he trusts her, how much she trusts him and cares about him, and just the relationship of these two people. Then Paul sent out a message to Sims, and he's like, damn, you got my message? And Sims like, I walked down 100 levels if I didn't get your message, really. And Paul says we need privacy. They stand at the barricade, and there was a great line here where Sims is like, is it true that you've crossed the line to the other side? And Paul says, I didn't go anywhere. The line moved, which is fantastic. Fantastic. Love that line about a line. But Paul gives Sims the page, and I was like, wait, Sims hasn't seen the page yet. And at the same time, we go to Lucas going to the drill, and Lucas admits to Shirley tried to kiss her. And then he talks about the fact that he doesn't think the water at the bottom of the silo is that deep because the whole space isn't filled, and there would have to be pumps down there. And at the same time, we go to Knox, who goes into Walker's shop, and you know, he thinks he knows who the traitor is, and he goes and tells Walk, hey, it's Teddy's mom as the traitor. And Hero's like, does he know the camera's there, or is this genuine? And then there was one moment where I was like, okay, he knows, when he said he can't punish her. He said, I can't punish Teddy's mom, I can't blame her. He was just looking out. She was looking out for her son. She was cared about her son. And the look in his eyes, the way he said it, I figured he was like saying, hey, I'm not gonna punish you. I know you don't want Carla to die, you know, you're looking out for her, but also trying to fake out Bernard with the camera. And Bernard smiles like, I know everything you're saying. But Knox is feeding him a fake plan that they're not actually going to do. Then we go to Solo, or Jimmy, that gets through some of his trauma. I love it, but he manages to open the vault, lets them in, and damn, he really used them pages, is what I thought. That's my first thought. Damn, he really used them pages, because there was a lot of pages around. And he talks about a boat he's been working on, and that he's got ice cream. And I thought the props department did great here. It's obviously the same set, but they made it look very different, and they did a good job. Just want to acknowledge that. But so it's still a little sensitive. He doesn't like stuff getting touched too much. But he shows the drums. There's drums. I love that. And I was thinking, man, this guy Solo, Jimmy, has insane knowledge. He knows what drums are. He knows so, like, out of all that is left of humanity, he has so much knowledge. He's very important. I don't want him to die. But then there's this picture that shows so many angles, and it's gonna be overlooked. I feel like maybe not, but I have to say something about this picture, because it may be nothing, but I don't think it is, because they showed it, and I feel like it's important. But it looks like, to me, where they may have chosen their silos. It looks like hills. It looks like they're wearing suits, like they know the air already sucks, maybe. But they're planting flags, like, next to these hills. And there's like purposeful measurements. There's like angles and measurements above it. Like, are they purposely measuring an eye's view? Like, if the person would see through the sensor, what their view would look like. And that's what I was wondering here. It also kind of looks like golf, but I don't think it's golf. But then we see the spinning tiger thing. It was from the trailer. And then we see Juliet's point of view with all this. She's like amazed, and I love it, because we don't really see her amazed at anything. But then Solo's like, hey, you want to hear some music? And they're like, what's music? And he plays the Monster Mash for the rest of the group while he goes to Juliet and trusts Juliet, which I love to see that trust, and shows her where the suit is. And again, I thought here, man, I love their relationship. Two people who aren't social, who have had trauma with their experiences with people who found each other. And it's an amazing story. I don't want either of them to die. I think I almost called her Rebecca Ferguson. Juliet is safer than Solo as far as dying, but she explains here that the head of IT gets a suit, and that's what she saw in the apartment. And Solo laughs when she mentions she got hit with an arrow and almost drowned. But he also says he doesn't understand why she hadn't left if she found the suit. And she doesn't answer. She kind of looks away. They both kind of look away awkwardly. But while they're not looking at her, he like rests his hand on her shoulder, pats her shoulder, basically says, thank you. I know why you didn't leave. It was for me. You cared about me. They don't have to say it, but it's there, and I love it. But then we go to Lucas going down the rope. Like, literally, he's gonna die unless he's got that Juliet climbing ability. Like, Juliet climbed all the way to the top, back to the top in episode 4 of season 1. But Lucas tells Shirley, hey, I saw the cam. I was told that there was the cam in Juliet's suit, that she did not die, that she made it further. But he never says that there are multiple silos, that she made it into another silo. And I thought maybe he doesn't want to spread all chaos. Maybe he wants to be loyal to Salvador's code. I don't know why. I think I would have told her, but he doesn't. But we go to Sims and Camille now, who see the page. And Sims and Camille have basically chosen the rebellion side. And it's not that shocking with Sims' arc this season, with Camille in general. But I guess they mention the silo key that Bernard has. For silo 18, the red blinking key that goes into the server room. Sims wants to break in, steal the key, and I'm guessing that'll be his journey in the finale. But damn, I was wondering, damn, was Lucas's actor actually on that rope with those veins and muscles flexing? It looks so real. But I was also thinking here, better not have the same ending as episode 3 of season 1, because that episode, if you don't remember, ended with Juliet like on the rope, like kind of about to fall into the water, and it like cliffhanger, and like I was like, don't end like this, please, I want to see more. But he kind of trust falls in, and he can stand. And now, knowing this info, we can think all the way back to that episode 3, when she panicked. Like she didn't, like, she was close to finding the door, but she panicked and went back up because she thought the water was super deep, you know. But I think it is kind of a plot hole. In that episode, her light falls off of her head into the water, and it makes it look like it's deeper than it is, I think. But anyways, he finds the tunnel with a door, and I was like, wait, this is the door George was talking about. We've seen it. This is not how I imagined it would look, but it looks cool. It looks similar to how I imagined it would look. I didn't think it was a circle. I thought it'd be like a giant rectangle or something like that, or a square maybe. But a voice starts to speak. The algorithm registers him as here and says that 3 people came before him: Salvador Quinn, George, and Meadows. And the algorithm did not speak with George. This got me thinking back to season 1 as well, because George told you that he was so close to getting into the door, but the algorithm never spoke to him. And then this also made me think about Meadows this season. In episode 4, Bernard asked Meadows, hey, you disappeared for 4 days after reading Salvador Quinn's code. Where were you? She never answers. But she had to have gone in there, whatever this door is, and there's this beaming light from above. But Lucas has a directive, the algorithm says, that he can't speak to anyone with what he learns in here or sees. He can't tell anyone, which will be awkward since Shirley sent him down there. I don't know if he'll listen or not, but he says, or else the safeguard will initiate. And like, he says he knows what the safeguard is. And last week I was wondering what the title was, and here we are still wondering what the safeguard is, but we also know more. We know what the title was. But theories please. Theories please about what's in the door, what's the safeguard. For some reason I feel like the safeguard might be the drill, like reactivating itself and going back up. I don't know. It's a weird theory, but it made me wonder if the drill gets activated, if the airlock opens, or what. Like, we have to know by next episode, and maybe next episode ends with the safeguard initiating. That'd be sick. I got an idea what next episode's gonna be like. We're gonna talk a lot about that right now. But I think, Sims is gonna have this conflict with Bernard, like the climax of their conflict. He's gonna try and get the key from him. Lucas is gonna go whatever this door situation is. Juliet's gonna try and escape the silo, but gonna have a battle with like Eder or something. It's not gonna be easy her getting back to her own silo. I don't know what's gonna happen with Solo or whatnot. Mechanical's gonna have one rebellious final plan. There's gonna be a showdown there, and it's just gonna be sick. It's gonna be sick. And then, yeah, I mean, final notes here. I literally couldn't stop the emotion coming out of me. That could be weird. No. But, like, gasping out of insanity or smiling and laughing. Also out of insanity. At the end of this episode, I had to take a break before I recorded this. But this was an hour episode, an hour of heaven. I got everything I could have wanted from the episode with Solo's past, emotional beats, the other people, Lucas and the current silo progress, character development, characters meeting. This is my favorite episode in the entire series, 10 out of 10. This is no recency bias here either. But this is how I felt after last season's finale. And I'm worried that Eder's going to do something. I have a bad vibe about her. And there's like that weird stuff with her mom, and like, now that we know there's 2 suits, like, they can't know. I don't want those other people to know that they're suits. I really think Eder wants to get out, and I just want Juliet and Solo to go meet all her friends together or whatnot. I don't want Juliet to leave Solo alone, but even if she does go back to her own silo, she can come back for him maybe. But next episode, information, what we know so far, right now. Spoilers. But none of these spoilers are major. This is just what they've given us, so it's nothing crazy. It's the description and the picture. Title is Into the Fire, which, again, if you... Into the Fire could have multiple meanings. Oh, wait, damn. Wait, I just thought about some stuff. Hold up. In the trailer breakdown, trailer sleuthing, I will leave that at the end of this video. Please watch that. I did some sleuthing about what is left that we haven't seen yet in that trailer that came out months ago. And in between trailer shots, there's this fire in space that just flashes on the screen. It might be the sun, something like that. But why, for the show Silo, are you showing fire in space like the sun? Why are you showing that in between scenes? There has to be a reason. This episode's called Into the Fire. So I feel like that's something that Lucas sees down there. I feel like he learns what happened to the Earth, or he learns something with fire Maybe the sun did something to the earth. That's what I thought about. I just thought about again, but I just thought about that. The title is called Into the Fire. The description is the rebels make their move, and so does Juliet. That's all it is. So Juliet's probably gonna try and leave, and the rebels gonna make their final attempt. Pretty self-explanatory. But this picture here shows Patrick screaming with fresh blood. So there was a fight, I'm guessing, and they know he's here now. They haven't found where Patrick is, but they know he's here now. And also they built the jail in the cafeteria, and I think I know, I mean, a cool way this could end. The fact that they have them locked up where they can see the screen tells me that Bernard's gonna have some big fight and with the rebels, and manages to actually get them captive. It looks like they're losing. He'll think he's won until the screen shows the entire silo that Juliet is back, and all hell will break loose next season. Like, it's coming the same freaking day as Severance as well. Severance season 2 episode 1, which sucks for me because I won't know what sleep is, but it's so freaking cool at the same time. That is unless Severance delays a day, so we shall see. It says Friday, but so does the next Silo episode. But the Silo episodes come out on Thursdays, so I don't know. But there's one website I can see that says Friday at midnight for the Severance episode. Midnight Pacific time. Yep. So if it's that case, then I'll do my vid right after, like when it comes out, or later in that day if you're interested in Severance, which is a great show. I'm going to be breaking that as a ton of attention to detail. But if I can make it through the night, if I can't make it through the night, then I'll wait till do it later that day. But I love y'all for making it through this, all this. I yapped a lot, but I mean, it's just, it comes from a place of passion for this art. But let me know your insights and theories, and thank you so much for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.